Hello, ladies. How are you today? How are things going so far?
So
Good,
far,
thank
so
you.
So
good.
far, so good. Fantastic. Well, I got to tell you something. I was riveted from beginning to end. I didn't know what to expect from this one, but it was so good. You both did such a great job. Haley, I got to start with you because how does somebody go from Genoa City to something like this?
What's amazing is I was in Genoa City. I left Genoa City. I went to Port Charles. I left
That's
Port.
right, you
I went
did.
to Portland, and now I'm back in Genoa City. So you never know. Life is crazy.
When you got the script, what was it that you looked at it and went, "Yeah, it's a little bit of a challenge, something different for me." What kind of hooked you in?
It really spoke to me the first time I read it. I don't claim to be a psychic in any way. I don't have any sort of powers, but when I read it, I just knew, and I had this gut instinct. I was like, this is for me. There was something so powerful about the way that it was written, the way that the characters were written,
Yeah.
and I just loved the story so much. The power of the convergence of the two lead characters, it spoke to me so powerfully. I just thought, I actually know this is for me. And then here we are.
Yeah,
So
and here, yeah,
amazing. The
exactly.
power of manifestation. I
Yeah, absolutely. Sonia, you never cease to amaze me. You're so good at everything that you do. I mean, I'm a losty from way back. And then for all mankind, you just blew me away in that. My God, I needed boxes of Kleenex watching your character. And now this. And this one, I mean, this woman, Elsa, what she's going through, honestly, not so much on the level of, everybody having, God forbid, having ALS or a disease or something like that, but the way that she is just clinging on to wanting to do her job no matter what has inflicted her. Tell me a little bit about going through this role and how it affected you, because I can't imagine that it didn't.
Yeah, well, it was interesting that you mentioned For All Mankind because in some ways it was such good prep for this role. I playing Molly Cobb, who disintegrates through season 3 and is blind by the end, um and is older and ferocious, and there definitely was a carryover in terms of a single-mindedness and a ferocity and a determination, a commitment to excellence. Now, I
Mm.
think with Elsa, that's to the nth degree. Unlike Molly, she's not married. She doesn't have a cozy husband. She's not getting high in the bathtub at the end of the day. Like, there's none of these.
Yeah.
She has none of the outlets that Molly had. So there felt like a little bit of runway, a little bit of terrain that I knew, and that
Right.
that then I wanted to take in its own direction. And I relate to, I mean, this is how you build a character, right? You find the little patchwork that you relate to, and then you expand it and build and keep developing that. I relate to wanting to do a job well and wanting to be excellent at something and being sort of single-minded about something to a degree. I mean, I'm a mum, so you can't be single-minded about anything ever.
For
But
sure.
you but I know the seeds of that, and then you just sow them everywhere and harvest them everywhere is how I think of it. So
Yeah.
that was kind of that was my approach with Elsa, is that she's put this job and being excellent at this job at the absolute center of her life. And
Yeah.
so to get ALS is to dismantle her very identity, because there is nothing else for her.
Absolutely. Wow, you did it just so well. And Haley, I'm wondering for you, I mean, here's this girl on the run, and I really don't want to give anything away because I went into this movie blind, honestly, not knowing what was going to happen, and I'm happy that way. And I think viewers need to
Yeah.
watch it that way too. But she's on the run, and what was that like? How do you get into a headspace of a girl like this that you have an idea of why you're running, and you're meeting these people who are maybe trying to help you along the way, but yet you're being hunted. How do you put yourself in the mind space of somebody like this?
That's such a great question. Well, and like you said, I highly recommend everyone goes into this blind. I think that's just how you get the most out of it. It's so powerful when you can really ride the ride.
Yes.
But it's so funny. Years ago, I was living across from a movie theater, and I went to see a movie by myself, and it was Gravity.
Ah,
And I will never forget walking out of the theater. And I felt like as I was pressing the button to cross the street, it was like my life depended on it. I felt like this movie had such a powerful impact on me that I felt like, oh my gosh, if I make one wrong move, like that's it for me. I'm a goner. And so it was such a vivid experience. I really brought that kind of mentality to developing the role. And I felt like that's it. It's running and it's life or death. And it's just remembering that every move is life or death. And then how does this person react in that situation? So to create those stakes, it's so off topic, like it seems so unrelated, but for some reason that's what really created that sense in me. So
yeah.
I rewatched Gravity.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, and Sonia, for you, I mean, a lot of your scenes, you're on your own, like she's independent for, she wants to get this job done. What's it like when, you do have scenes with other people, but for the most part, she's on her own, Elsa, she's doing this by herself. She's determined. She doesn't want help from anybody. And doesn't want to like, tell people exactly what's going on. What's that like for you to play a woman like that?
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I mean, it was, as an actor, I didn't go to drama school, but I know enough about it. And one of the sort of exercises at drama school is to have a private moment, meaning you create a situation where you find that character alone. And it's often something you do if you were doing a play, for instance. You might take, you know, Nina from the Seagull, and you might give her an imaginary scene on her own as to what she might do. How does she brush her teeth? How does she go to bed? So it's an act of imagination that I would give my character anyway, regardless of the role. But to actually get to do private moments over and over and over on camera, it was kind of glorious, because it was also like rubbing your head and scratching your tummy at the same time, because she's performing on the Bluetooth, right? So she's got to give the impression of absolute control on the Bluetooth while spilling coffee down her front, while unable to do up the buttons of her shirt. So it really felt like a sort of massive workout as an actor of how can I let my voice do one thing and my body do something completely different.
Right.
And in a funny way, to not have to try and do that and interact with another human being on camera. Like it was a relief not to have to, because I felt like I had so much that I was already working with. I mean, anytime you have to hold a gun in a scene, I think I'm very alive to that. I feel like they're wielded so freely on camera, and actually it's a really, really big deal to hold a gun, I think.
I
And
agree.
so
Yeah.
and so I'm just that alone, but then add a gun and a cane and a hazmat suit.
Yes.
Without too much away.
Not even go to the hazmat.
That's a lot. I'm just going to say that's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. I don't know what more they could have given you to keep you distracted. I think you had enough.
Not sure either. Believe me, it didn't go unmentioned. Yeah.
That is funny. Hayley, what was it like when you first met Sonya for the first time?
Well, I suppose I think I might have already had my bald cap on. I'm trying to remember our first encounter. I was somewhere else. I was not there. But subsequently, we had some lovely time together in Joseph, and I really, really enjoyed the experience. And even though we didn't get to prepare really before our scene together, it was nice to share the experience of that period of time. I think because you had worked a lot of your kind of solitary moments before we met in the middle, and then it kind of moved into the more Jess-based stuff toward the end of the shoot. It was just really lovely, and I was so grateful that I got to come in and have you there, and then have my time, as opposed to coming in and doing my bits first and then meeting you. I just was grateful to have that bond.
Nice, very nice. Sonya, just to wrap it up, like I said to you earlier, I think I first discovered you when I watched Lost. I mean, I'm still obsessed with that show. How many years later? I don't know. It's crazy. But it was something that had to have changed your life. Just the reaction to it, how big it got, what it became. Was that something like when, you know, with North American audiences, like just kind of surprised you or blew you away thinking like, wow, I didn't maybe realize that when I looked at it on the page, but wow, what it became.
I think it was something that it has lasted longer than that. It wasn't a sudden explosion. I think what I marvel at is that this many years later, people still want to talk to me about it, come up to me in the street about it.
Yeah.
That Penny, you know, I only did 15, 20, 12 episodes of that show, and that she made such a mark. I'm just humbled and grateful. I really am.
Yeah, I did. You did leave an impact. Well, thank you both for your time so much. And Haley, you know, for talking. Listen, I used to work at a station that we ran the YNR and like, you know, for how long that show's going on. But from the bottom of my mother's heart, 87-year-old, God bless her, has barely ever missed an episode of General Hospital and the YNR, because General Hospital came on 3 months after I was born. My
Perfect
mother still
timing. That's amazing.
watches both of them religiously. So when I told her I was talking to you, she was like freaking out. So anyway, thank you both for your time today. I really want to get that off my chest. I really appreciate it. And you're both so wonderful in this film. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Bernie.
You're welcome. Take care. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
You too.
Bye.